Welcome to the party. I'm Sam Ekstrom of Locked On Sports Minnesota. Today we talk legacies. Danielle Hunter, Stefon Diggs. Who's going to be remembered more as a Viking?
Hey, this is Arif Hasan with the Wide Left Substack. I'm giving Luke Braun 5 dooms.
I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings, and today I look to weaponize my betting curse.
Hey, Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman. Thank God football's back and the Vikings are fun because I can't watch any more Twins baseball.
Locked On Sports Minnesota Podcasts. It's endless Minnesota Vikings talk with the diverse voices of your local experts. It's time for the Minnesota Football Party. It's your guys hanging out talking next level Vikings football. So join in with Arif Hasan, Locked On Vikings Luke Braun, Superior Sports Talk's Luke Inman, and Vikings insider Sam Ekstrom, plus the biggest names in Minnesota football for the Minnesota Football Party. And it starts now.
What's up? What's up? Welcome into the Minnesota Football Party. We are live on this beautiful Thursday. It's Texans week, Vikings Texans Sunday, our second live show of the week. We do this every Monday and Thursday on Locked On Sports Minnesota, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making us your first watch or listen on this Thursday. For your second one, check out Locked On Vikings. Great daily Vikings content with Luke Braun, who you just met, and find our audio on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts. Revenge angles abound in Vikings Texans. We got Diggs and Danielle returning, Greenard and Cashman against their former teams. Who's got the greater legacy in Minnesota, Danielle Hunter or Stefon Diggs? We dive into that and how to defend these tough Texans pass catchers. Diggs, Dell, Collins, Schultz. We'll discuss that, as well as the Vikings running game, which has been a nice little surprise to start this season. Ron Johnson makes his Thursday appearance as well on a show that is presented by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use code all lowercase, LockedOnNFL, to win $50 instantly when you play $5. This is a great matchup. 2-0 teams playing on Sunday afternoon at US Bank Stadium. Texans favored by 2.5. Pick your favorite revenge angle. Let's start with Danielle and Diggs making the return to US Bank Stadium. For Diggs, this is 4 years in the making. He's been gone for 4 years. Vikings played him once in Buffalo, but he makes his return. Ron Johnson and I have been talking all week about what's the reaction going to be. Will there be cheers? Will there be boos? And how will the Vikings approach giving Diggs his flowers? Because whenever there's a reunion, there's some level of montage on the board. There's a chance to give some applause. Things were a little messy with Diggs on the way out. So, Luke Braun, we'll start with you today. How are you approaching the Diggs-Danielle moment of appreciation?
I would probably say about minus 450 to get a miracle clip on the board at some point in the game.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know. It like with Diggs, I feel like a lot of the messiness was just assumed. Like he really went out of his way to like not speak ill of the Vikings. Eventually he'll have a quote sometime where he was talking about, what his relationship with Mike Zimmer was like or something like that. But otherwise he kind of just was like, no, I'm just happy in Buffalo. Yeah, thanks for everything, Minnesota, but I'm here in Buffalo now and I'm doing my thing. And now I'm here in Houston. His exit in Buffalo was messy. That was like drama. But in Minnesota, it was confirmed after the fact that he never even really formally like demanded to be traded. It was that the Buffalo Bills came in with an offer and Rick Spielman took it. And he just had some like cryptic tweets. So I feel like if he gets booed, that's like too much. Unless it's just that you're like booing the Texans in general because they are the road team. That's fair game then.
Yeah, Minnesota nice factor too. I don't know. Are we booing either of these guys? Is that fan base going to boo?
Definitely not Hunter.
Not Hunter.
Maybe.
Yeah, like Hunter, like
Hunter.
it's just we just paid a different guy.
Hunter.
He went and got his bag
Hunter
with
leaving-
Houston. Good for you. Like
Right. Hunter leaving was like more sad than anything. Stefon Diggs, okay, the first time around, to your point, Luke, the first time around, it was like, okay, things got messy a little bit. I also wonder too, and
like if that's too much drama for you, you need to like go outside.
I mean, I will say
Take a
you are underselling it a little bit, intentionally missing practice, pretending that he got a cold, saying that
got
there's
sick.
to all rumors.
you had an ear infection.
There's a little bit more.
That was
than
a
just
singular.
some
That was
cryptic
all
tweet.
the same day. That was one day.
It was one day.
Yeah, that's who he is. What do you want me to say?
There were no other days. That was it. That was
It was
that
one day.
thing
It was a
happened, and that was a
Wednesday practice.
controversy, and that was over.
It was a Wednesday practice.
I don't know that it was over. It feels like because there was constant reporting of what Diggs' state of mind was, that there was a constant reason for this to kind of be a renewed issue. Like, again, I tend to defend, the players, and especially I've defended Diggs in the past for his behavior, but I feel like you're underselling, how much he would kind of stoke the fire here. He
The
hated
cryptic
the
tweets didn't
offense. He
help,
made it
for
pretty
sure.
clear that he hated the offense. And, I will say that it got blown out of proportion on the media side as well. Whenever Diggs blew up, it was a story about him leaving. Whenever Adam Thielen blew up, it was about how passionate he was. It's
Yeah,
it's
one
a
of the
little
best
bit
about.
different, right? But I do think that Diggs did a little bit more than what you're suggesting here. That said, I think that the way he handled himself when he was talking about Minnesota while he was in Buffalo was generally pretty good. I think we're all missing the real revenge angle here, though, which is Chris Boyd,
Boyd.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to commit some special teams penalties again if he wants to.
A
That's
source,
so
funny that
He did last week, correct?
Two
Yeah,
of them
yeah,
on
two.
prime time.
quick
Yeah, he
Chris
could've-
Boyd story. A source told me that last year when Boyd came here with the Cardinals for joint practices, that they had to cancel special teams drills because Chris Boyd was too vocal about wanting to get in a fight. That's just a source.
Is that is that a Sam Ekstrom Minnesota football party scoop?
That
Yeah,
is-
We got
Did you just
scoops.
Yeah,
We
that is
we
a
scooped
scoop.
a little.
That is a
Yeah.
scoop.
Hashtag scoop.
Welcome to the Scoops podcast.
I better
Wow. Wow, that's not
.com.
I better
no rights reserved.
drop one of these.
But like with Diggs too, because it's been 4 years, and because the Vikings have played him already. Like the first play against Diggs has happened. I feel like that always takes the oomph out of a revenge game. Like if we're gonna have a Danielle Hunter revenge game, which I don't think he cares, but if we're gonna have a Danielle Hunter revenge game, like it's the first time back, But the only thing you can say with Diggs is like, well, it's the first one with the Vikings at home, and it's like, okay, like are we gonna do this every time? Like I don't know.
Yes.
This is probably the last time anyways. But
How much does the fact that you netted Justin Jefferson and Cam Bynum to that degree soften the blow and turn like the frustration at the time and anger of like, oh, these cryptic tweets, this guy, he's got blah, blah,
people
blah.
stop being mad about week 3, week 4.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of that year.
yeah.
versus the Titans. Yes, it feels like it though, right? Like if that was ended up being like a bust pick or something, would we have a little bit more resentment and anger? towards them for
100%
some
we would.
reason? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is how I see this going down. It helps a lot that Danielle's part of it because Danielle, I think, is universally loved. So you show them both you do a montage, include them both before the game when they're on the field warming up, give them that moment. I think there will be applause, especially if they show the miracle. During the game, though, I could see scattered boos for a Diggs catch, especially
Yes.
if he is
Scattered boost? Absolutely.
if he is demonstrative at all. If he's egging it on, he will absolutely get some booze.
Yeah, if he goes and asks for booze, he'll get for some booze. Yeah.
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 I feel like Nico Collins could get booze that way too.
I think Diggs has an accelerated capacity in this regard. I think that
In a rare
his ring
occurrence,
team
I
is
think-
going to help.
I think I actually am in full agreement with Macho Meach here, who thinks that
Yeah,
Braun
no.
is
So
rose-colored
here's the thing, Macho
glasses-ing.
Meach.
Yeah,
Diggs's divaness was always ridiculously overblown, and that's why I remain pushing back to this day. This was covered every single day. I think that was a media problem, and I don't think it should have been covered every day. I think maybe we could have come up with other ideas, and I don't think that that's Diggs's fault.
I mean, Arif, I don't want to.
I wouldn't call him a diva. I would call him a harlot.
That's well established.
Yeah. That's different.
How about the connection of these?
Different kind of person you would find in West Hollywood.
Same draft class. One drafted in the 3rd round, one drafted in the 5th round. Never really. I mean, obviously overachieved their draft position to the nth degree, but like the connection of coming out in that 2015 draft class together too.
That's really cool.
Ended up on the same team outside of the Vikings X amount of years later. Pretty crazy. Kind of small world kind of story.
Instead of the Minneapolis Miracle video, the Vikings should replay the clip of no one wanting Diggs to date their sister.
It's such a funny.
That kind of went viral again, right?
So
like a week.
Yeah. Oh, that makes the rounds every few months.
Yeah.
When a new city learns about what he's doing in there.
When push comes to shove, though, who will have the greater Vikings legacy? Because comparing the two resumes, you've got Danielle, 9 years, 87.5 sacks, 119 games. Diggs, 5 years, 4,600 yards, 30 touchdowns. But the miracle.
I don't know. I think miracle
your paper
is
stats are nice, Sam. Your little tables and numbers are great. But it's come on, the Minneapolis Miracle, my guy.
I'm saying it's Diggs.
You got Arif going anti-spreadsheet. Wow.
It is,
wow. You did it. Let's wrap it up.
That being said, so Diggs gets told to like your grandkids, right? Stefon Diggs is that kind of player and that kind of moment. But Danielle, I think, would be the odds-on favorite to be a Ring of Honor inductee over Diggs.
Yeah.
Of the two, I agree.
Yes.
Of the two, I agree. Yeah. No, that's a good way to lay it out. I still think, again, the Minneapolis, like that play is always going to give Diggs the edge. Whether that's fair or not, like one play probably shouldn't ever be the end-all be-all. But like in a tiebreaker situation, both guys are pretty close to one another regardless. I think that play is just, I mean,
I'll say this.
Explain it. It's so iconic. It's so legendary.
Yeah.
Like the longer the dust
Diggs
settles. Yeah, go ahead.
Is like at this point he's almost as much of a Bill as he is a Viking. You know, like just because so much of his career happened outside of Minnesota, that's hard. But you can't argue with the like greatest moment in Minnesota Vikings history. And that was
I agree with you, Sam. Though you can make a case Danielle was like more dominant of the two at their position. And again, I mean, this is another conversation. For whatever reason, never really got the love, nationally that he probably deserves. In fact, he still might be one of the more underrated players in the league still to this day. But I just feel like, at the end of the day, man, Diggs, all the drama, all the baggage, all that stuff. Hunter had 2 really bad injuries as well that cut 2 seasons short as well. So what you said, what 8 years, this, 5 years, but really Hunter lost like 2 of those years too.
When we're having a discussion about like the Ring of Honor and stuff like that, I don't even know how much Hunter would be favored over Diggs, maybe, but like when you walk into the media only areas of like the facility or the stadium, guess what pictures you see? You see pictures of the Minneapolis Miracle. Yeah. I don't actually even recall pictures of Danielle Hunter dotting that montage. I mean, it's like, you've got your like, I mean, and in the media room, like on the area, it's like this long like montage of like different Vikings pictures, like Fran Tarkenton and Alan Page and Jared Allen and, Hardware Hank and all that. And there's Diggs right there. Like it is like vitally important to the fabric of the Minnesota Vikings.
It's a play every Viking fan will remember till the day they die. You can't say that sentence a lot.
And if you had to pick one Danielle Hunter play that crystallized his career, can you even think of one? Can you think of a Danielle Hunter play that you would say, hey, grandson, come here. Let me fire up YouTube.com. Let me show you the
You know what the
old
worst
players.
thing is? The first reaction I had to that question, and maybe, I don't know, it could be an unfair question, but it just might have been the way that he played. My first reaction to that question, my brain came up with an Everson Griffin play. Like, it's just...
Oh, really? No, 2019 wild card. Handing Ryan Ramczyk his first sack of the season in the playoffs.
That was pretty great.
On a key third down
What's crazy is we're thinking of the same game, because I was thinking of Everson lining up over center against the Saints.
Oh, yeah. Andres Pete. Andres Pete's finest moment. Andres Pete, by the way, the first real opponent of Dallas Turner in the preseason, still getting worked by Vikings defensive linemen.
Now I'm thinking of, I think the thing I think of is Everson and Danielle doing their high kick ninja celebration together in unison. That. Like that's kind of what I think of first, not one individual play.
Yeah.
Did Danielle score a touchdown in his career?
Chargers? No, that was
Odenabo.
I feel like he did, but now I got to check. William points out in the chat the forced fumble against the Saints in the wild card
do
game.
Safeties count as scores? Because he's got at least one safety
Against Cam Newton.
I believe so.
Ooh, that's a good name drop.
Yeah,
that's a good
2016. Ball. Yeah.
No pick sixes.
He has a fumble return touchdown also in 2016 and one in 2018.
Couple scoop and scores. Okay.
Wow. I just went to Pro Football Reference, so I don't.
Wasn't there a Jared Allen type of sack where like he reached around the offensive tackle or offensive lineman and got a sack on the guy?
Kind of just grabbed him by the jersey and yanked him down.
Yeah.
Dude, I love those so much.
I don't know why I keep thinking of Eli Manning in both those clips in my head.
Yeah, he has a fumble return touchdown against the Titans in 2016 and one against the Lions, which I believe was pointed out in chat in 2018.
The Lions one I remember. I remember that one.
I remember the Kendricks one from 2016.
I don't remember the Titans one at all.
Yeah,
at all.
Yeah, that was the like super fake run where we got 1 million defensive touchdowns. So I guess we just are letting some slip through the cracks.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was 2016. It was early.
Yeah, that was the opener. That was the game Sharif Floyd got the injury that ended up.
Yeah, is that the one where Khalif Raymond put the Vikings in a blender for a little bit?
Tajay Sharp.
Wait, I think that was the next time they played them.
It was Tajay Sharp. It was Tajay Sharp.
Yeah. Oh, was that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tajay Sharp, future Viking. Yeah. Danielle
Sean
Hunter,
Hill started that game.
24-yard fumble return when they were up 15-10 after the Kendricks pick six. So they had 2 defensive touchdowns in like 4 minutes, which crystallizes the 2016 start to the season. Just crazy things happening on defense.
A 61-yard return in this game?
Arif,
okay.
You just went robot mode.
Yeah.
We'll see. Go out, come back in. Hate when that
It actually
happens.
sounded okay to me, but yeah.
Okay, I just pulled it up. It was Marcus Mariota was quarterbacking that day.
Everybody's a robot to
me
right now, so I got to go. I'll be back. Just talk amongst yourselves, Lukes. This is a little bit of a problem.
Well, maybe we can move on to the next topic, which is the actual Texans, because they are a Super Bowl favorite, right, Luke?
Absolutely, 100%.
Like they're
they're the darling. They're the sexy.
Yeah, they're the
team,
like
man.
everybody's sexy like new arrival onto the AFC field. So the Vikings just took it, in some ways a beating, to maybe the best team in the NFC. Mm-hmm. And if we're going to call the Texans maybe one of the best teams in the AFC, do we feel like they can do it again?
Yeah, I think it's just another great litmus test. I mean, that was kind of my theme all week last week leading up to the San Fran game. Like, yeah, the Giants game was fun, but like, how much did we really learn? And then you get through the San Fran game, and like you said, like, you didn't just win, you kind of dominated them in a lot of different areas. So you checked a lot of boxes, but another great litmus test now back-to-back weeks. And I think we're just going to learn a lot more about this team, their ceiling, their floor, their strengths, weaknesses, all that stuff. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I don't know the line on this one. I got to imagine Texans are favored by a couple
2.5.
at least. 2.5. 2.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Might be 2. It's been moving around.
Yeah. Either way, though. Yeah.
People slamming the Vikings either way.
Yeah, either way. No faith in the Vikings once again to do it again. But yeah, it's going to be a great matchup. I know we'll get into a little bit of the X's and O's here in a second. But
yeah.
For another good litmus test here.
Let's do that next with Ron Johnson. We'll talk about defending the Texans, the challenges they present, CJ Stroud, all of that on the Minnesota Football Party. We have a great new partner here in the Locked On Podcast Network, Locked On Sports Minnesota. It's Arena Club. And if you like collecting cards, and Luke Inman is an avid card collector, I know he talks about it all the time with me.
Won't
Luke,
shut up about it.
We got to get you hooked up with Arena Club. You don't want to spend $2,000 on a Patrick Mahomes rookie card. That's not in the cards, so to speak. Well, thanks to Slab Packs from arenaclub.com, it's possible to score gem mints for a fraction of their retail price. Every card that I listed was hit from last week's Arena Club Slab Pack drop. Arena Club is the only repack that provides real value, a complete view of all possible cards, and clear hit rates for each one. Arena Club Slab Packs are revolutionizing the repack game with transparency. After your pulls are revealed, they'll immediately be placed in your showroom for safekeeping, selling, trading, or auction. And the Arena Club grading process is accurate, fast, transparent, with a full grade rationale provided, an explanation of how your card was scored. So whether you're buying, selling, trading, displaying, Arena Club is the card collecting platform that you and Luke Inman has to check out. Absolutely has to. It's a must-have. Right now, you can get 10% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL. That's all one word, all lowercase. That's arenaclub.com/LockedOnNFL. Code LockedOnNFL for 10% off your first purchase. Great lineup here at Locked On Sports Minnesota as well. Thanks to all the everydayers who watch us throughout the week. That includes Tuesdays with Ron Johnson. He's our Thursday guest on the Minnesota Football Party. He joins us now at 3 Ron Johnson on Twitter/X, and he's got the Vikings jersey on. He's wearing the Kirko after Kirko.
No, it's Tristan Jackson.
It's Tristan Jackson.
It's Tristan.
Of course.
Is that an
Very
8 or a
nice.
9? What am I seeing? Is Tristan's
Tristan's 8 now.
Tristan's 8, yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I thought he was 9. They change every year, so you can't.
JJ
Yeah,
McCarthy
he was
is
9 in a previous iteration. Yeah.
How quick you forget about JJ McCarthy?
I was at the game on. Good point, Ron. I was at the game on Sunday, and I saw a jersey. It was a guy with a 33. It had Cook, but then he put Asamoah over Cook.
Modified it.
Modified it to Asamoah, who also is no longer 33, but he did not modify it yet to Aaron Jones. I was a little confused.
I'm sure he's getting around to it.
Yeah.
You should just have it like that. Like just have Cook on top, then Asamoah, then
But
Aaron
like
Jones.
there was
like
no
the
attempt.
Browns
Browns.
quarterback jersey.
Yeah, but with people wearing 33 with no relation to each other.
The funny thing was there was no attempt to cover up Cook. It was just there was the 4 letters of Cook, and then right over top of it, the letters of Asamoah. So the letters were all jumbled and like
So you could
overlapping.
see the letters.
You could
for
see all the letters.
So it was Cook Asamoah.
Yeah, just a
I like
hybrid.
that.
A hybrid. Yeah, it was a curious solution that he employed. But Ron Johnson, we got CJ Stroud coming up on Sunday. What do you think of CJ's career so far? What kind of challenge does he present?
Well, I mean, he's really good. And here's the thing. Every year we always talk about quarterbacks when there's 3 to 4 quarterbacks in the draft. You can go back to Andrew Luck and RG3. You can go all the way back to Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf. And so it's always who should I draft? You look at Bryce Young. Clearly the Panthers are now kicking themselves in their butts because they're like, how did we let CJ Stroud slip through our fingers? Why did we let the owner make this decision and not listen to Frank Wright? Frank Wright knew exactly what they needed. He knew who he wanted. And they didn't go get him. So CJ Stroud early on, I mean, he's doing what he did at Ohio State. And that's why it's so funny. Again, I don't know how this guy continues to get away with this stuff, but like Stephen A. Smith, when they were talking about CJ Stroud, he was like, oh, yeah, and you got to stop him. He's a runner. Dude threw for 50 passes at Ohio State. Like, what are you talking about? Like, he's not a runner. Like, he can run.
Did he do the same thing with Dwayne Haskins like a couple
Yeah,
years
like
ago?
I think he just sees black people and is like, oh, he's a runner. Like,
I heard that about Jameis Winston. Yeah, that's just
Like,
1,000,000% what's happening.
Winston.
He's watched Get Out too much because I know in Get Out, that's the first thing Grandpa did was take off running in the black guy's body.
That's right.
But that's not what he is. And so CJ Stroud is a consummate passer. He's smart. His mic'd up with Caleb Williams shows how smart he is. He's like, hey man, stop taking those hits. I don't care if you got pressured, 11 times and you got sacked 7 times. Like, just get rid of the ball. Like, stop taking those hits because somebody did make a comment on Twitter. Actual like analyst made a comment on Twitter about Caleb Williams needs to get rid of the ball. And then, Courtney Cronin comes with these stats like, oh, he had the eighth fastest something like release time or something. It was something like that. And it's like, that has nothing to do with like getting rid of the ball. Like, just because you got rid of it in the 8th fastest time just means that you were under pressure. So your O-line is not good. But also there's a way, and again, it's tough to go into these breakdowns, and that's why I hate analytics. Like, nothing against Peter Bukowski. I know he loves to use all that crap, DVOA and blah. Like, it's great. But here's the problem.
Go ahead.
Here's the problem with some of those stats. You can't say what's expected of a player and then try to ding him for what he doesn't do and what you expect. There's also other parts to football, other than like that little piece of it. And so when you talk about Caleb Williams having the most amount of time to throw XYZ, he's not getting rid of the ball fast enough, but he's not getting into the right play. And so when I go to CJ Stroud, everybody's going to say, oh, man, Diggs only has 12 targets and Nico Collins has 18. You know why? Because he understands who's being covered and who's not. He understands where the rush is coming from and where it's not. He understands who's a hot route. Like that Brock Purdy play, if you guys saw it, I think it was maybe ESPN broke it down the other day. Brock Purdy, I think it was when Patrick Jones came wide open and he didn't make the sack, but he forced Brock Purdy to move. Like he kind of missed him. There was a hot route. There was one. There was a drag, but Brock Purdy couldn't even get to the drag. And so I say that to say, like, sometimes you have to look at who's blocked and who's unblocked and say, why is my hot route going to come towards where I'm going to get crushed? Hey, change. You run a flat. I need you in the flat right now. You're my hot guy. A drag route hot is not the answer when Patrick Jones is unblocked. If you know he's unblocked, you run away from him and you throw the flat. So with that said, CJ Stroud makes the right plays. I really like his game. And the fact that they got another weapon in Stefon Diggs makes them really dangerous.
Yeah. What stands out to me about Stroud is definitely the accuracy. It's accuracy when he throws downfield. It's accuracy when he's out of the pocket, accuracy when he's under pressure. He just maintains that in whatever situation he's in. So I know we talked about this yesterday, Ron, but one more quick one for me. Which receiver does scare you more? Is it Nico or is it Diggs against his former team?
It's Nico, 252 yards. I mean, I know he only has one touchdown. Diggs does have the 2 touchdowns, but he's only sitting at 70 yards right now on 10 receptions, whereas Nico Collins, 252. So clearly they're using Stefon Diggs until you are willing to honor Nico Collins. They're going to use Stefon Diggs on some of these decoy routes or, eat up the space routes. And I haven't watched, I watched a little bit of the Bears game. I haven't gone into the alternate. I usually don't do that till tomorrow. But when you get a chance to look at some of the things they do, Nico Collins scares me. He does, because in your mind, you're probably trying to put your best guy on Stefon Diggs, and Nico Collins is just as good. So that's what's so scary about it.
Hey, Ron, D'Amico Ryans, he came in second last year in Coach of the Year voting behind only Kevin Stefanski in his first head coaching season ever, by the way. So he's already in that top 10 discussion when it comes to head coaches in the league. What makes him so good and so unique? I know he brought over a lot of the same things that he did well in San Francisco for all those years. What makes this defense so good, and what makes him such a good head coach?
Well, I mean, he comes from a pedigree of good coaches. And so you remember that defense he had in San Francisco, they were really good. And so I think he brings that attitude right away. I mean, even Blake Cashman, which is so funny, but before Blake Cashman was even a Viking, Blake Cashman was singing his praises as a Texan, like, oh man, he's going to do X, Y, Z. I can't wait to do this. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. And everybody was excited about that, like that bravado, I guess you say, he brings. And so it's like Jerome Mayo. Like it's a different, like Mike Tomlin, like Brian Flores, like certain guys walk into the building and you're like, all right, let's run through a wall for this guy. And I think Nico Collins is just, or not Nico Collins, D'Amico Ryans is just next up on that list of guys that players are willing to run through a wall through. And it shows on tape when you watch the defense play. Like, they are flying around the field. They're, I even like when they get into it with other teams. Like, you could tell a team that's a core when everybody's willing to fight versus, I can't remember which quarterback it was, but he got knocked down and nobody really tried to help him up. It's like, yeah, you guys are dysfunctional.
Well, I did actually want to ask about this defense, right? Because they've got all kinds of great players. Obviously, they've got Danielle. They've got Will Anderson. They brought in Azeez Al-Shaair. Derek Stingley is already having a great year. Kamari Lassiter came off with a pick in the last game. It sounds like Jalen Petre's just going to take your head off, legally or illegally. That's just a thing that he does. It's like DJ Swearinger again, right? And then you got Jimmy Ward, who'll do anything, right? So, like, how do you attack this defense? I mean, it seems like it's stacked everywhere.
Yeah, so, okay, nothing against my guy. I love Danielle Hunter. But if I'm running the ball, I'm running at Danielle Hunter. Like, I'm going to wear him down. I want to wear him down so that when it is time to rush, and I want to run away from Will Anderson. And so I want to put them in positions that they don't do well. So, like, even if I know it's just a token run because I got to set up the play action, I'm running at Danielle Hunter. Danielle Hunter is a guy, he can set the edge, but he's a guy always looking for the quarterback. You don't really think of Danielle Hunter as a run stopper. So that's where I'm going first. Second off that, I'm going to motion my tight ends a little bit to make these linebackers just second guess just a tad on what they're doing. Like, because when they line up, you see them kick down, you see them talk. I'm banking on somebody making a mistake. But then other than that, man, that front seven, it's bully on bully. You just got to really not get bullied by them. You got to be able to fight. You got to push. You got to block all the way through the whistle. At the end of the day, I think Deion Sanders has said this because he threw his offensive line under the bus a little bit, but sometimes it just comes down to who wants it more. Like who's willing to fight more, who's willing to stay on that block a little bit longer, who's willing to push a guy to the sideline on a run game, knowing, hey, look, I'm taking him to the bench, like I'm getting him off the field. And so that's where I'm dealing with this. Other than that, with the DBs, you have to be really smart with the ball, and they are ball hawks for Sam Darnold. And I don't know if you guys saw this too, the old seeing ghost thing, because Brian Flores was in New England when he did that to Sam Darnold.
Oh,
that's right.
Yeah.
Right. I never made that connection.
Yeah, they just brought that up. I just saw that yesterday, and I was like, ooh, that's not good. Yeah. But they said that has nothing to do with this. They did say Brian Flores had seeing ghosts, and that's why I talked about that blitz. Yeah, it was ESPN. They're the ones that brought it up. Brian Flores made Sam Darnold see ghosts, and then he just made Brock Purdy see ghosts. And so with their defense with DeMeco Ryans, it's a similar thought. Like the 49ers used to have that similar kind of feel where it was like, what the hell is DeMeco Ryans doing? And so that's his job too. It's like, how do I make you think something's not there? And so if I'm Brian Flores, I'm kind of using what I know too to help prepare Sam Darnold. Hey, look, if they're in a shell, like an umbrella shell, it has to stay some type of match zone. Some people call it palms. You can call it all kinds of cool little words, but it's basically two read. You're playing two, but you're also reading. I'm in two. Hey, if this guy goes deep in the outside, I'm taking number one because I'm just going to take him corner. You have to take number two inside if you run something short. And so it's like a kind of a read. You're reading the number one receiver to then say, okay, here's what we're doing in cover two. And then you also have like a drop linebacker, like a Blake Cashman or Ivan Pace. Seems like it's Blake Cashman right now that's going to kind of read that middle and allow the safeties to get width so that you're not getting beat on some of these corner routes and deep balls that happen. But that's how I'm handling this defense. I'm going to read what they're doing. And then I'm taking I hate to say it. If it's a 17-play drive, who cares? I think Sam Darnold has to be okay with that. Take the 17-play drive, take the 4 yards, take the 6 yards,
big
take
rest
the 4
for the
yards,
defense.
And just keep them on the field, but you just wear them down, and then eventually, just don't turn the ball over. Honestly, if you turn the ball over, you're going to put yourself behind the 8 ball with that defense, and then it's like blood in the water to a shark. They're just going to start to swarm and get more excited.
Ron, we're in the middle of the like too high renaissance right now. So much so that it's got Mel Kiper spittling on national TV about banning too high or something. What do you think the solution is for offenses? They can't get the ball deep. Are we just going to become, are we just running the dang ball or?
Oh, no.
Too high is beatable. If you watch the Manning, I forgot the Peyton Manning thing. Just go Google Peyton Manning. I forgot what it was, but I watched it. And Peyton talks about how to defeat that. So there's a couple different ways. If it's
Manning cast, maybe?
Maybe. It was one of those, or maybe the Manning vision thing where it's the cone and kind of breaks it down.
Really
but he
cool.
talks about how he attacked too. And it does, I hate to say it with the Vikings. I don't know if their tight ends right now as a group can do what TJ Hawkinson can do. But I know they're going to try. And that's why I think Tristan Jackson needs to be.
They only got 2 of them left.
That's why I think Tristan Jackson needs to come in a little bit more as that tight end type of player. To run that seam. So what you do is if you go 3-by-1, the backside guy knows he has like some type of like hook or sit on the sideline in that zone. And if that safety to his side, to the single receiver side, doesn't honor it, that's your throw. You have to then still have a running back like chip and then get to the flat to make that corner not drop back like the Bears got us last year with that interception by Johnson, the one that CJ Stroud told him like, hey, you're not getting me with this coverage. You have to do that. To the front side, one of your 2 middle slot guys has to clear through the middle. If that linebacker doesn't get depth, you hit that over the middle now because those safeties are out. But you have to get it now and quick, and it's a layered throw. It has to have layers to it. Other than that, those 2 outside guys now, it's basically 2-on-2 with a safety and a corner, and you run combos that where there's corner with some type of like post, where there's corner with some type of dig, where there's corner with like a sit. You have to be able to affect that deep safety. And then again, honestly, once you get it, if that corner like Johnson did, you pump to the corner. If he drops, just throw they call it a sit route. Some people call it a Zorro route. You throw that underneath route and just live with that. Say, hey, look, get it to Brandon Powell. Now go get me 7-8 yards. And then eventually those safeties are going to stop dropping deep. And that's the end. Other than that, it's play action and then do what you did with Justin Jefferson. Get behind the safety. So, no, I think it's very doable. Devontae Adams has done it. Justin Jefferson has done it. Deebo Samuels did it to us. It's doable. You just have to – you got to work it. You got to work that middle of the field.
One quick note on that. I noticed after week 1, I saw that the expected yards per rush was higher than the expected yards per pass across the entire NFL over week 1, which is like the first time it's ever happened where rushing was actually more efficient than passing the ball. I don't know what happened in week 2. A lot of bad quarterback play, though.
I saw something about that. A lot of that is quarterback running and like scrambling. Once you take that away, it's pretty normal again.
Probably. That makes sense. One other note I looked up.
On that. What was Bryce Young's?
Yeah, he's throwing off all the
I can't bear to look at Bryce Young stats, man.
It's bad.
Or Adam Thielen.
That's a bad situation, yeah. And also on the Danielle Hunter conversation, he's been almost exclusively left edge, which means he's going up against Brian O'Neill.
And Brian O'Neill's hurt.
Potentially.
The elbow.
Yeah, elbow. He was hurt last week, too, and played, so they could just be holding him out, giving him a couple extra days. But that'll be an interesting matchup. Ron Johnson hosts the roundtable on Fridays as well. So we'll have Reggie Wilson, Julia Daniels talking more Vikings Texans. We also had a football special yesterday, which we'll be doing for the next month or so on Wednesdays with Ron. So that was a lot of fun as well. Check it out on YouTube, Locked On Sports Minnesota, or the Locked On Sports Minnesota audio feed. Thanks a lot, Ron. Awesome as usual.
Appreciate it. Looking forward. Is it Jets Patriots tonight?
Jets Pats. Can't miss that.
So we'll have to talk about that too.
Can't miss.
How do the Vikings look winning in London? What do the Jets look like? Can the Patriots win this one?
They snuck by the
for the
Titans
storyline,
last
John.
week. Jets trying to beat a plucky Patriots team. They've been decent so far.
Hey, I'm with Luke Inman now. I'm struggling to find a loss. Like, I don't know.
Can't find it. I'm looking, man. Can't find it.
Tough.
Let's go.
It's amazing how far we've come in 2 weeks.
Look at us.
Surely this will be
us.
Who would have
fine.
thought?
Look at
Who would have
us.
thought we'd be here?
Yeah.
Not
High
me.
expectations
Not me.
never get dashed. All right, Ron, thanks a lot. Good stuff,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Hey, does the ocean look a little taller to you? It's fine.
When we return, the Vikings run game has been brilliant. Why is it working so well? That's next. Today, we are brought to you by FanDuel, and you've got 3 days remaining to take advantage of this great offer. All customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket. That's right, 3 free weeks of out-of-market Sunday afternoon regular season games. Yes, capitalize on this. Put $5 down on Stefon Diggs getting over 60 yards. That might be what I do in our betting today. And then get 3 weeks free of NFL Sunday Ticket. So then with YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment. You can cancel anytime. Visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Bet the Vikings plus 2.5 against the Texans and get 3 free weeks of NFL Sunday Ticket and make every moment more at FanDuel. All right, Luke Braun has disappeared. He's gone. The run game has been great for the Vikings. This is one of the many things we doubted coming into the season that has come to fruition and been really, really good. They're averaging like well over 5 yards per carry. They were over 6 yards per carry against the 49ers. They're 5th in success rate. Alec Lewis and Luke Inman had this the other day for his nerdy stat. Alec Lewis tweeted out a bunch of really good run game stats. So Luke Inman, why is it working? Is it the rushers themselves? Is it schematic? Is it situational? Why has it been so good?
4.05 yards before contact was the stat from Alec Lewis that really jumped out to me. That was the most any team has generated in a game this year, and the most the Vikings have had in a game since Kevin O'Connell's been here. So that's the offensive line. It's the tight ends, Josh Oliver, Johnny Mundt, all those guys up front doing their job, getting dirty, getting a hat on a hat. And then after contact too, Aaron Jones has always been in the, upper half of the league, been one of the better guys after contact. So that in itself, you kind of assumed would be a big upgrade over somebody like we had last year, like Alexander Mattison. Ty Chandler's giving you a little bit extra in that department too than we saw in years past. So they just got this really nice 1-2 punch going on right now. They both give defenses slightly different running styles to have to think about, to have to defend. And then in the second half, when defenses start to get tired, man, you get to keep these guys fresh. Both these guys have averaged only like 10, 11, 12 touches a game. So that is the ideal blueprint, I think, in today's day and age. Like the world of a bell cow 33 carry a game guy just doesn't happen a lot anymore, probably because it's not very sustainable. But yeah, I think just bigger picture, like it's always going to be a balance between run and the pass game. You usually can't have one without the other. Otherwise teams start to overload. They start to key in and try to stop what you do well. But through 2 weeks, through these two games, Giants and Niners, they've just had this really nice, fantastic balance and kind of marriage between the run and the pass. And they've been feeding off one another in a way that we really haven't seen under Kevin O'Connell these first 2 years.
Vikings feasting on first down in particular, 5.3 yards per carry on first down. That's fifth best in the NFL. Also, explosiveness. They've got 10 plays of 10 yards or more in the run game. Last year, they had 38 total, and they're on pace for like 80 this year. So it's going a little better than it was with Alexander Mattison. But what are you seeing on the all-22, Braun? What's standing out to you in the run game?
I think the key difference is greed. Whether or not you are a greedy running back is like a stylistic choice you have to make. Alexander Mattison, not a greedy running back. Shouldn't be a greedy running back.
Hurdler,
was a greedy running back for a long time. But at the end, when he was the starter, he played a lot more conservative. He was very good for, a nice, responsible 3 or 4 yards. But you're never going to break anything explosive, and it kind of, atrophied. Dalvin Cook, very greedy running back, always getting the edge, right? But then you can get some guys like, I think, Kene Nwangwu, too greedy of a running back. And Ty Chandler, as a rookie, would go for, greedy paths to explosive plays, but not be fast enough about it. And then he would end up taking a worse hole. Maybe the greediest running back of all time is Adrian Peterson. Famously, the famine feast.
Oh my gosh.
Right? He would always go for the long touchdown, and that would lead to negative plays. And we were all happy with it because he would get the touchdown often enough. Aaron Jones, very greedy running back, but he never writes an arm that is, or writes a check that is his legs can't cash. That's really important. And I think that especially on duo runs where you basically are running to an A gap, and then if you don't like it, you bounce it outside, right? So you're picking north, south, east, west. You're not reading like gap to gap to gap to gap like it's zone. So you're either going straight up responsibly or you're trying to greedily get the edge and get explosive. So it really emphasizes this, and Aaron Jones has done a great job of making that decision, making it quickly, and then when he does need to go get the edge, he gets that edge. A touchdown against the Giants, for example. That has, I think, papered over some issues in the run blocking that, just some Dexter Lawrence stuff or Nick Bosa stuff, or if you want to talk about like Ed Ingram not quite getting there, Blake Brandel not quite getting, not quite sustaining the way he needs to. But because Aaron Jones is like bouncing that thing outside anyways, it stops mattering. So I think that Aaron Jones in particular is like papering over some stuff. And when they get into Ty Chandler drives, sometimes it's 2 minutes. So like that's tempo. And so it's working for other reasons. But I'm giving a lot of credit to Aaron Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've both just been so decisive too in their cuts, whether it's bouncing it outside, going outside to inside. There's a vision present that they did not have with Alexander Mattison, did have with Dalvin Cook when he was healthy, and it's nice to have it back. Go ahead, Arif.
Yeah, I feel like we're at a spot where it's going to be really difficult to identify kind of what the key component is until we get some more reps in for all of these running backs. And what's interesting to me is that when you take a look at running back efficiency for Aaron Jones, it was really, really high in week 1. It wasn't as high week 2. In fact, it might have even been negative. I don't want to like look at yards per carry because it like eliminates the context of the down, distance, and box, but I do think that it wasn't as impressive in week 2, but Ty Chandler made up for it, and so we end up with some really great game end numbers, which suggests that it's the offensive line. You take a look at Christian Darrisaw, he's doing a really good job. Brian O'Neill's doing a really good job. Garrett Bradbury has been pretty good run blocker. In fact, the only run blocking offensive lineman that I really have much of an issue with is Ed Ingram. I thought it'd be Blake Brandel, but honestly, I think it's actually Ed Ingram. I think for the most part,
Randall gets shed sometimes. You can have an issue with him. It just gets not noticed because the running back papers is over. But yeah,
right. And what's really great, I think, about both of these running backs is that they've got a similar type of balance. I don't know how else to describe it. Their ability to kind of sidestep while keeping forward momentum. Like a lot of running backs, there's a lot of value in a completely lateral plant so long as you can explode right back out of it. Alexander Madison had a really great cut, but he couldn't explode out of it, so there's not really, much you're going to get out of it. Both Jones and Chandler do a really great job of maintaining forward movement when they move from side to side, which is a really excellent thing when you've got, maybe one of your guards is just getting swum over and now you just have to make, really quick decisions. So I do think that there's something there. We did learn last year that running backs do impact the running game. I do think that there's probably a ceiling for how much that can matter. And I really do think that, especially with the tackles, I really do think that we should be paying a little bit more attention to how well they're engineering, what they're doing on the offensive line. Worth pointing out, in rush yards over expected per attempt, the Vikings have 2 of the top 10 running backs in that statistic. That is not technically a uniquely running back stat. When you've got a running quarterback, for example, you're running rush yards over expected really high. Obviously not the case for the Vikings, but that does tell us that it's more than just running back skill that gets you pretty high in the statistic, which takes a look at things like blocking angles and chip data to tell you how much you're quote-unquote supposed to get. I do think really effective run blockers on the offensive line will help you in the statistic just as much as, really excellent vision from the running back will. But I do think it's kind of cool that both of them are top 10 in that stat.
Should be a great matchup this week, too. Texans have dominated. Okay, Bears, how much of a litmus test was that? Maybe not a lot. Jonathan Taylor, though.
Good defense, though.
Yeah. This should be, they are statistically only 2 weeks, small sample, but they definitely are the Texans. That is one of the better run defenses right now through these first 2 weeks.
Yeah. Bets time, week 3. Bets. Let's remind everyone of the contest and where we stand. $1,000 mythical dollars going into the season. We make 2 picks each, one spread or over under. The other is a prop from the Vikings game. Luke Inman, you're leading. You're in profit by $61 with a 2-2 overall record. Arif has the better record, 3-1 with a little less money, $1,045 and change. I'm $14 in profit, $1,014 and change, 2-2 overall record. Luke Braun is winless. He's lost $110 of his bankroll, and he is on some kind of anti-heater. Just a cold
going all the way back. I don't think I've won a leg of a bet since like week 8 last year.
And you're honestly
it's insane.
Right about that.
Yeah,
that's not exaggeration. It's bad. Last week you lost on Cowboys, got crushed, and Aaron Jones anytime TD. You are the first to pick this week, so no excuses. Okay. Luke Braun.
I don't make
not
any.
that he's ever made excuses.
Minimum of 3.
Yeah.
Maximum of 300. What are you going with?
So I'm learning. I'm going minimums until I get off the curse here. But I want to weaponize the curse, like I said at the outset. So Stefon Diggs anytime touchdown. I don't even know what the odds are, but that's what I'm taking. A Stefon Diggs touchdown in US Bank Stadium. I want that to not happen. So I'm going to bet it.
You're taking one for the team. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
I will need those odds because that's kind of important.
It'll be plus 160.
Plus 160.
And I'll put the minimum on it.
All right. $30. Luke Inman next to go.
All right. I got my Johnny Munt touchdown scoring prop out of the way last week. Obviously, that didn't hit. Almost did on a tight
yeah, pretty close. Almost, if we're being honest.
Yeah. I'm gonna go to Tank Dell. If you've watched the Texans the last 2 weeks, he dropped a 40-yard bomb last week, and then he dropped a 50-yard bomb the week before. So he's been on the field over 80% of their snaps. I'm gonna take Tank Dell. It's time. We're due. Tank Dell over 50 yards. That's at minus 110. Give me $50 on that. Minus 110.
Very nice. Arif Hasan, Mr. Minimum Bet. Let's hear what you got.
Actual instance of Luke Inman using the gambler's fallacy. Well, I don't know how else to put that. Yeah, that was actually not a bad set of proposals there. So
he's due.
I do want to go player props first, just because they're scarcer. So I'll go with Nico Collins over 5.5 receptions. Obviously, he's had a lot of receptions, with the Texans. But the thing that sticks out to me is the insane amount of targets, which is kind of what helps define this. The Vikings are going to allow some underneath yards, and I think that Collins is a little better engineered to grab some of those underneath yards than Tank Dell. So over 5.5 receptions, plus 112, of course, as you know, the minimum.
All right, I get the snake. So I will take the team that everyone is saying is done. This is like a classic Sean McVay cover, maybe even a win outright. I'm going to take the Rams plus 7. Super banged up, but so are the Niners. The Niners don't have Debo. The Niners don't have McCaffrey. The blueprint is out. They also have not had a healthy looking or effective.
Simply be very physical with your practice squad O-line. Good luck, Rams.
Yeah, I like the home dog. I like the Ram. It'll probably be half Niners fans there. I don't care. I'm going to take the Rams plus 7. That's a lot of points for a Matt Stafford quarterbacked and Sean McVay coach team at home. So Rams plus 7.
Sam, they don't have receivers.
Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, I said what I said.
I stick by what I said. Okay.
Enough said. I'm struggling here. Plus 7, minus 115, and I will put $50 on that. I'm also going to take
slightly over the minimum. All right.
Slightly over the minimum. That's right. I'm also going to take Stefon Diggs, 60-plus receiving yards. Again, the gambler's fallacy. He's due. He's due
so
to have.
We all took a Texans prop. We're all in on the Texans. Just on CJ Stroud, just lighting it up.
All 3 of the top Texans receivers.
Now somebody take the Vikings Texans under.
It's entirely possible that Stroud gets like 190 yards and we all hit. That's like the silliest thing about all of this. It's possible.
Yeah. I just see one stupid touch pass jet sweep on the goal line.
Let's go to Cam Akers or something.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Alternate. Hold on, I got to give a line on this.
Yeah, speaking of greedy running backs.
Where is it? Diggs, 60-plus yards is plus 146, and I'm going to put $75 on that. Back to Arif.
Is that a FanDuel alternate line?
That is an alt receiving yards.
Yeah.
Perfect. We love those. Get really creative with it. Okay, so I promise I am not a Seahawks fan, but Seahawks minus 4.5. Okay, look, Geno Smith is playing outstanding football. I don't know if you've actually watched it. In drop adjusted terms, he is the highest CPOE of any quarterback. It's crazy how well he's playing. Dolphins. And it's the Dolphins who don't have a quarterback. I mean, say what you will about Skylar Thompson, but come on, right?
Hey.
So the line is only 4.5.
2022 on the ropes.
Yeah. So the line's 4.5. That seems pretty low to me, given how well the Seahawks have played. So I'll take the Seahawks minus 4.5 at minus 115. Again, the minimum.
You got it. Luke Inman, you're up.
All right, this is the first time, actually, I've looked at all these spreads and lines. There's a couple jumping out to me right now. Usually try to stay away from, like most people, the road favorites. But if I lose if the Ravens start 0-3, then, okay, I'll just take the L. Ravens by 1.5. That's at minus 102, it looks like. And we'll go $50 again. Ravens over the Cowboys on the road by 1.5, minus 102.
No,
the Ravens go 0-3, then okay, I'll lose my $50.
That's a fair way to look at it. Luke Braun, you've got one more chance to get a winner.
I'm continuing to weaponize my curse. Packers money line plus 116.
All right, that does have to be a traditional spread. So what is the spread?
Why can't I do a money line? I'll take them plus 2.5 minus 115 then, but I wanted to be more aggressive.
Malik Willis revenge game going on.
Yeah, Malik Willis revenge game. Packers plus 2.5. I'll put
throw
them
10 more passes. It'll be great.
Oh.
Perfect. So Braun has Diggs and Packers. Inman has Dell and Ravens. Arif has Nico and Seahawks. And I've got Diggs, Yards, and Rams. Those are the picks. They're locked in. Good luck, gentlemen, in week 3. So no skin in the game tonight in Jets-Patriots. We will be back on Monday. The postcast, though, will air right after Sunday's game. Luke Braun will be there. I'll be there. Inman will be there. Ron Johnson will be there. And we'll have a good time. Luke Inman, you're also doing the Twins postcast, the Gophers postcast. He's a busy man right now. A lot going on here at Locked On Sports Minnesota. Please subscribe. Thanks for those in the chat. Thanks for those listening on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed. We appreciate you. And we'll talk to you soon here at Locked On Sports Minnesota. See ya.